Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits and Motor Chaos. And I got on the line with me special guest Dave Gallegos from the Nitro Motorsports. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, good.
So, Dave, what originally got you started in the drag racing?
Well, when I was young, I had a cousin. He lived up the street from me, and he come driving by one Saturday. And I knew he had a car. He had a old '67 Camaro. I was about 10 years old, and he come by and asked me if I wanted to jump in and go with him to the races. He said, "Go ask your mom." So I ran into the house and screamed I was leaving and jumped in his little El Camino, and he's pulling the Camaro, and we got there, and it was in Denver, Colorado, at Bandimere, Mile High deal there, and it was kind of drizzly out, and they had a couple of fuel cars. They had a couple of funny cars. I think it was Tom Hoover and Doc Holliday were in a match race that night. And I remember the anticipation of seeing them cars, and it kept raining and rain. Sun come out, a little bit of rain, and I remember one of the guys, and I'm not sure which one, said that it was just too rainy for him to run, so he wasn't going to run. But the other guy, he drug it up there, and it probably went like a 750 at maybe 200, and it was pedaling and flames coming out and. Sound of that nitro, man, I was hooked ever since. Since then, I just wanted to drive a fuel car and drive race cars, and it was never the same. So it's been a long time coming.
So what was the first car you drag raced in, Dave?
Well, I started right out of high school. I was about 18. I had a little small block Vega with the narrow Duran that I drove around the street. It was a nice little fast street car, and we took it to the drag strip, and lo and behold, I started, didn't have a lot of money back then, so we started chopping parts off of it, getting fiberglass parts to put on it, and just going a little faster every time we took it out, and just kind of grew from there. And I've had several cars, and kind of graduated about a half second every time. Every time I switched cars, I'd go a little faster, and I think it was in 2003 I had a 8-second Camaro that was injected on alcohol, and lo and behold, I went to purchase a trailer for a job deal for me, and this guy that I bought the trailer from, Jim Stahlbaumer, he was selling a race trailer, and I walked in there and we hit it off, and lo and behold, this guy was a crew chief on one of NHRA's team, and he had a long history of NHRA crew chiefing and crewing, and so I got a little conversation, and next thing I knew, I was hired to go work on Joe Hartley's Top Fuel team. It was the Hartley Top Fuel Dragster. And started out there just washing dishes and cleaning parts, and did that for about 3 seasons, and went to probably about 20 races a year. Having a good time learning how to do it. That was the main thing. It was so much different from what I'd been accustomed to with the 8-second stuff to go to 4-second cars and nitromethane, but I knew right then and there that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to sell all my stuff and purchase a fuel car and try my hand at it, and just little bits by little bits, selling property and buying cars and experimenting, and then getting out of it. I had put a couple kids through college. So I had to get out of racing for about 6 years and got them through college, and here about 3 years ago, we decided to get back into it. My youngest son, Joe, he's my crew chief now. He's kind of hot on the TV shows of outlaw stuff. That's when it was starting to get hot. And we said, man, we need to get back in this. We need to get back into racing. And so it wasn't long. We purchased the blown alcohol car from a guy in California, Bill Wyndham, at a 7.0 car that we bought, and we've been racing that the last 3 years, been pretty successful. We've been, ending up in the top 5 in points in this little Central State Supercharger series that we run here in the Midwest, and then so last fall, just the nitro deal, it gets in your blood, and so I told my son, I said, I think we're ready to make the next jump, and so I talked with a guy out there on the West Coast again, Richard Townsend. They had just purchased all of Tony Pedregon's stuff to go big show racing, and so all of his nostalgia stuff was for sale, and so we struck up a deal, and he delivered it to Dallas, Texas last fall, and a good friend of mine, Chris Graves, he started this Funny Car Chaos deal that's it's just really taken off, and I'm glad, because now we have a real place to race on some really good, fast 8-mile tracks. But we showed up out there, and we did good. We qualified number 4 or 5 out of about 22 cars, I think it was, and we lost first round. Car got a little out of shape, so I had to get out of it, but we were tickled to death, you know. It was like we didn't miss a beat, you know, and we ran with the best of them, so that was really pretty good.
So now, what's the quickest run time you'd had with this car?
That car, we went I think it was a 406 at 189.9 or something in the 8th mile, and the guy that sold me the car, he kind of gave me a crew chief that came from California. He's going to be our full-time crew chief anytime we take that car out. He says it's a 390 car, pretty easy, low 390s in the 8th at 202, 205. And it can run with the best of them California cars, which, you know, that's in quarter-mile lingo, that's probably about a 580, 590 at 250, 240. So we're happy. Well, you know, out here in the Midwest, it's mostly all 8th mile stuff. You know, it's heavy. You know, the insurance stuff is so crazy nowadays, and the tracks that, you know, just it's hard to make a living, and, you know, parts savage and stuff. So it's really the 8th mile deal is kind of the ticket out here. So and it's more about the show. I think it's more about the entertainment for the crowd and the fans. And so, you know, you're real close. You're up tight to the fence. You can smell the nitro. You can feel it. It's more back to the roots of drag racing, you know. So we're happy to oblige and happy to participate, but yeah, we've got a passion for it, and I've got several crew members, most of them my family, some of them my friends. I got Tanner Monroe and my daughter Veronica. My daughter Veronica is the backup girl. Tanner does the bottom end and starts the car, and then I got another good friend of mine, Mike Sotelo. He's a local guy. He does the body and does some of the oil and the tires and some of that stuff. And then my son Joe, he's going to be he's 19, going to be 20, but he travels around on other racing teams and working on some other stuff, some A fuel cars and some nostalgia top fuel cars. So he's a real skilled kid for his age. And then of course the glue that holds it all together is my wife. She's big support, big part of my life that, you know, allows me to do this. I mean, it's a pretty expensive sport that it takes gobs of money, and most of that, it takes a lot of time. You have to be really committed to it. You know, some of the traveling expenses and stuff. So I couldn't do it without her for sure. She's a big part of my success, even with my businesses. So it takes a whole bunch of people to make these cars go at this level. You know, and I got some sponsors. I got a couple guys. I got a local guy here at CarQuest in Wamego, Kansas. He supplies a bunch of the funds for this, and I got some guys that, you know, provide some motels. I got another guy, Bobby. He's a catering by trade, and so he supplies a lot of food and gives us some money, and so there's a lot of people that play a big part in this, you know, and it shows out there. When we get to the track, we put on a real good show for the fans, and we're real open. You know, a lot of people just come up and hang out, and they'll hang out all weekend like we just long-lost friends, you know, and they'll try to put their 2 cents and pitch in for gas and, you know, generator gas and whatnot. So that's kind of what we're about. We do it for the fun. We're serious, but we do it for the fun, you know. We want to win, and we want to be competitive, but it's about having fun.
Yeah, that's why they say drag racing is all one big family.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
One driver will break something and his car be down for the day, and he'll go help out another driver, take a part off his car to help somebody else.
Yep, they share parts, we share knowledge, we share technology. If somebody's struggling, we'll go over there and help them. You know, it's about putting on a good show and everybody staying safe. You know, these cars, they're a handful. Even when they run right, something goes wrong. You know, so you got to all be together. You travel 400, 500, 600 miles away from home. You're a long ways from home. So all the friends and family you can muster, it's real important.
Then you were talking about the California drivers. If you ever go out to Bakersfield, then you have to run a quarter mile.
Yeah, we have, you know, that's on my bucket list. That's one thing that's, you know, there's some deals that we want to do with this car that we want to go out and we want to prove that we can run with them California guys. And like I said, I think we can because we have the parts, we got the technology, we got some great people behind us. and I think that's something I want to do. You know, I've driven IHRA Top Fuel for 3 different teams and been successful, qualified at most of the events. And, you know, my career ET to date is a 490 at 298. So that's pretty good. And so I'm not scared to go fast. I like to go fast. I want to be safe. But my son, he got to go out there to Bakersfield to work on a Nostalgia Top Fuel team about 3 weeks ago, and I was just jealous. I couldn't go because I had work. But he went out there and got to experience that, and he was all telling me about it, and I was excited. And like I said, we want to get out there, but first I think we need to prove our worth and our value around this area in the Midwest. With the funny car, we've taken it to a chassis shop this winter. We got it a new 27T body put on it with a McGear wing and kind of have a fuel altered setup. We want to go down to Texas and run with them guys down there. They have this Pro Mod versus Fuel Altered showdown. You know, and you'll have some 390s, 380s, 210 mile an hour, 8-mile runs, and that's what it takes to win down there. So we want to go there. We want to go to Eddyville, Iowa. They have a deal there every year. It's a World Fuel Altered Nationals. We went there last year. Qualified pretty good. We were qualified number 2 or 3 in the B field. And car was acting fun, and we had some issues that we had to work through, but we had a great time, and that's a well publicized event. It's everybody who's who of the fuel altereds. They show up there to be number 1, and I heard this year they're going to even allow funny cars to come run, so we'll have a choice. We can take our funny car or our fuel altered setup, and I think it's right there. I think last year a 393 at 200 won it. Was the winning time, and so like I said, our car's right there. It's right there to be competitive at any event we want to go to. So we're excited for the 2018 season.
Now the fuel altered car runs on nitro or alcohol?
It runs on nitro. It's a 90. We try to run them about 92%. Is what we're going to run our car at. We have a small pump. It's a Heritage Series regulation car. It's got a 22-gallon pump. It's got the small mag on it, 671. So it's a true nostalgia car. It doesn't have the great big pump or the dual mags on it, like some of the cars do. But that's not unheard of. Like I said, the outlaw stuff that's going on here, the funny car chaos and all that stuff, you can run whatever. You can bring a big show car and run it if you can get it down the track. And that's all fine and dandy, but I think we have a setup that's kind of conducive to the elements around here in the track conditions. You know, the track conditions are Denton is probably the best racetrack in the Midwest, 8-mile track. It is NHRA grade, starting line to finish line. Now some of the other ones, the starting lines are pretty good, but as you get down track, it kind of loosens up a little bit. So, you really have to race the track. The facilities the crew chiefs are going to be real key on a lot of these events. Eddyville's also a killer track. It's killer from the hit all the way to the finish line. And so you can run big numbers there. I think last year somebody told me that they had a fuel altered that went a 360-something, 369 at 200 mile an hour, and they actually shut it off early. And so you can run some big numbers in the 8th mile at some of these tracks. But no, we're excited. We're glad to try to promote the sport any way we can. We take our car to car shows and picnics and parades, and we fire it up, and we try to get crowds and people interested in what we do, because, like I say, here in Manhattan, Kansas, or in probably about a 200-mile radius, we're the only fuel car, in this area. You go to California, there's probably, 4 or 5 on each block. Everybody seems to have a fuel car out there, but in the Midwest, they're far and few between. So we kind of feel a little special in the fact that we're trying to do something that a lot of people just don't do. And so it's a pretty wild deal.
Yeah, myself, I prefer to watch Nostalgia rather than the top, because it's too expensive to go watch top fuel events.
I'm kind of like you. I did that big show stuff. It's too corporate. It's too drawn out. It's too one-sided. There's too many teams that don't have a chance to win. It's basically between 2 or 3 teams. They're the only ones that really have a real shot at winning, and then it shows because they're always winning.
Then they keep changing the rules all the time.
Yep, and the rules are always conducive. They're always set out for them 2 or 3 people that put on the show. And like I said, I purchased a fuel car back in 2000, and let's see, when was that? 2009. I bought an Tim Wilkerson nitro funny car and thought I was going to go and try to participate at the big show. And about 3 months after I got the car, I got a letter saying that my chassis was out of date and that it was no longer going to be recertifiable because that's when John Force crashed and they changed all the tubing thicknesses. And so I thought, what the heck, you know? And so then about another month later, I got another letter in the mail from IHRA saying that that they were going to drop the funny car class and bring in some nostalgia stuff and book in Top Fuel. So that kind of left us, you know, I had a high dollar piece of yard art that we just didn't have nowhere to go race. And so I went and match raced it down south in Oklahoma and Texas, and we had it for a season. And lo and behold, that winter, I thought, you know what, this is just, I'd spent so much money to get the car and get it going and get, you know, to the point that I just didn't have the funds to you know, recertify everything and get a new chassis. It was going to cost me about $25,000. And so I put it up for sale, and lo and behold, that very night, in the middle of the night, a guy from Sydney, Australia called and bought it. He purchased it and wired me the money the next Tuesday, and it was gone. It got shipped off to Australia, and he's been racing it down there, you know, ever since. And so that's when I got out, and was able to raise my, you know, a couple kids through college, but yeah, I got to see that big show, and it's so lopsided that, you know, it's incomprehensible with the amount of money that it takes to spend to just even get to the races. And so this nostalgia movement, this outlaw movement, it's exactly what NHRA has been neglecting, and it's the fans. You know, to go to one of our events, it costs you about $15 or $20 to get in. To go to a big show deal, it costs you about $60. You know, and that's without buying a beer, a T-shirt, or a hat, or you just can't take a family. You know, our deals here, you can take a family, you can enjoy yourself, you can camp out, and you can get right up in there and get right up to the fence and see these cars run big numbers, you know, and be thankful and be grateful that the fans are there. You know, and I'm totally in awe of some of these people. They love us, man, and it shows. You know, they don't get to spend that big money and go to the races. You know, they have to either watch it on TV, which doesn't do it justice. You know, you can't smell it, you can't feel it. You can see it and hear it, but drag racing is meant to be all 3, all 4. You know, and so this new movement with the street outlaw stuff and then our nostalgia stuff and our outlaw stuff, I think is the wave of the future. It's gonna keep getting bigger. I tell Chris Graves he's gonna make this into a series, and he's gonna have enough cars. He's gonna have 20 cars competing at all these races. You know, and because people been craving it, people been wanting it. And so I'm all everything I can do to support him or help him. I'm sure going to do that because, like I said, I don't take for granted that I live in Kansas and I don't have to drive to California, you know, once or twice a month. I can drive to Texas, which is about 6 hours, or Oklahoma, which is about 4 hours, or Illinois or Missouri. So I'm happy to oblige him any way I can.
Yeah, I had Chris on the air a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, cool.
So now
I've known Chris. I think I met him been back in probably about 2006. I went to work for Mitch King Motorsports, and I worked for him and drove his Top Fuel cars and got a Top Fuel license. And he was actually really good friends. He had worked for him the year before and kind of did his photograph and his websites and pictures and stuff. And so I've got to know Chris a long time, been to some Dallas Cowboys football games down there in Dallas. I've stayed at his house. He's a real good guy. He's real committed to the sport. He's a true purist. He wants to see the sport grow and be better, and he puts on them events. It's great. He's a perfect guy for that job because he lives it. You know, everything he does, he lives it. He probably ain't got very many hobbies. I know that. It's all drag racing.
Yeah, him and his wife both drive a dragster.
Yep. Yep. Yep, I've competed in some of their series with this other car that I have, and they're competitors. We've showed up there and qualified pretty high and went a bunch of rounds and raced with them and whatnot. And they're good people. They do anything to help you out. And our car broke at one of the events, and then we got one of his friends to let me go to his shop, and we fixed our car and we got to race. So that's the kind of guy he is.
So Dave, let's talk about what's under the hood of the funny car. What do you got?
Well, it's the funny car's it's all Brad Anderson. It's a 413 cubic inch. I think it's short stroke, I guess, and 4187 bore. It's got Brad heads, the small chamber fuel heads. It's got a 671 SSI, small pump. Just makes gobs of horsepower with a lot of RPM. It probably runs 9,500 RPM through the lights. Just big RPMs, kind of like the old nostalgia cars used to. Got all good stuff in it. We've got a couple sets of heads, another manifold for spares. We've got a titanium housing and 4-disc clutch, 3-disc with the 2 floaters deal. 2-speed, pretty standard nostalgia stuff. The chassis is a Murph McKinney. From what I was told, somebody did the research on it. It was one of the last chassis in 1999 that never got ran from Dean Scusa. I don't know if you remember that name.
Yeah.
But, I think he had a Mopar sponsorship. Dean Scusa was real popular with the fans. He was kind of one of them guys that you could walk right in his pit and hang out. And so we got his car, and it didn't have very many laps on it, and we freshened it up and fixed a couple things, and it's all loaded and it's ready to go. So I think we've got some races scheduled. Our first deal is for Amarillo. That's going to be the first deal we hit. Mocan, I'm not sure. I'm still having some problems with logistics of getting my crew chief here. He has another prior engagement that he's not being able to get out of, so we're still kind of up in the air about that. But we're just, like I said, we're going to play it by ear. We've got a kind of a tentative schedule. We're just going to go to the first one and just keep going as long as we can afford to, and everybody can go. We're a big team effort, so we don't really want to go if everybody can't go, just because you put a new guy doing a job that he's not used to, that's never done it, then you're asking for trouble. So we really stay committed to getting everybody to go at the same time and to the same races, and it's real important for us to do that. So we just play it by ear, but everything's looking good. I've got a couple grandbabies on the way, so that's going to kind of slow some things down. I got a daughter going to have one. She's the backup girl. She's going to have a baby in May, and then my other son's going to have his wife's going to have a baby in August. So we'll see what happens. Family first, and then drag racing second.
Yeah, I know the Central Illinois one's July 27th weekend?
Yep. That's on our schedule too. Like I said, we'll see. I enter them, but you just never know. I try to make everything I say I'm going to do, but when you get this many people with the logistics, it makes it real tough. And then, who knows if we don't go out there the first race and catch on fire and blow it up, or throw the rods out of it, it might set us back a little bit. But, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. And we're pretty good. We really haven't hurt nothing in the last 3 years. We burned up a tranny, but in that other car. But other than that, we've made all the races we said we were going to go to. So hopefully that's the case.
Then maybe someday you can make it up in my neck of the woods at Great Lakes Dragway in Wisconsin.
Yeah, absolutely. We have plans. I've did a little background check on that deal, and from what I hear, it's a pretty killer little track.
Nice. Legendary.
Nice little facility, yeah.
Been there for years.
Well, like I said, sometimes this opens up a lot of doors, and being on your deal and making your acquaintance. Maybe you'll know the track owner over there. Maybe he can book us in for a little gas money, and we can go up there and put on a show one of these nights in the summer, and we can get another fuel car to match race, and that's what we're about. We're not about breaking the bank or we need a little gas money is all we need sometimes, and we get out there and we put on a show, and we're real family. We are family friendly. We throw out T-shirts to the crowd. We probably give away more stickers and T-shirts than most teams. A lot of them just want to sell, and I buy them and I get them so we can't sell and get a little gas money, but I still give a lot of them away for free. And I want people to remember what they had, their experience, and that's what it's about. I remember as a 10-year-old that experience I had that day, and they were giving out some free stickers, and Jolly Rancher was a big sponsor back then, and they were giving out Jolly Rancher candy, and man, I'm 49 years old, and it seems like yesterday I was 10 years old, and I'm remembering all that, so it's about the experience, and them little tracks, we go to a couple little tracks around here, and it's more funner than going to a great big national event. It's just hamburgers, hot dogs, racing fuel, and putting on some good burnouts and having fun.
You're the same age as me.
Yeah.
I'll be 50 next month.
Right on.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris Graves about the Great Lakes Drag Race. He said, a lot of people have been telling me about it. Maybe I'll have to look into it for one of the events sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do two big events, which is Memorial Day weekend in May, then Labor Day weekend in September. But there's only two fuel funny cars that run both of those. It's Doc Holliday's Telstar and Boz Young's Down Under Thunder. Or Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be nice to see some more nitro funny cars.
Absolutely. Maybe a couple fuel altereds.
Not that I don't love those two guys, though. They're great guys, but I'd like to see more.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want to see different characters, because you can, as a fan, people want to pick sides. They want to pick a guy, and if they're having to look at the same two cars every year, they're getting bored with that. You want to see some challenges and some duels and some, who can do the better burnout and stuff. So you got to mix it up. You got to get some new blood in there, and you got to keep the fans coming back and be more interested in what's going to come next year, and grow it a little bit,
I know Labor Day weekend they got two fuel alters. It's Tom Mochi's Jurassic Plastic against Nitro Madness.
Yep. I know Nitro Madness Radar Lechtenberg. He's a real good friend of mine. He's a great guy and a good racer, and he's been real successful. He's the guy we want to beat. He's a pretty big hitter at that Eddyville deal, and he's won it like 3 or 4 times. He didn't win it last year, but he's definitely a top guy to beat. So when I drove Top Fuel, I worked on the same Top Fuel team as him, and then when I drove Top Fuel, he came and worked on the car I drove. So I know Radar and them guys, and real good, and they're good people.
And everybody knows Jurassic Plastic because of those big header flames.
Yep, and that's all big show stuff, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's cool, and that's fun, and it's fast, and it's just more money and more parts. They got dual mags, and it's that big 100-gallon pump. That's what makes them big flames like that, and so it's a matter of, there's 10 different ways you can skin a cat. And that's the good thing about racing. Everybody does it a little different. There's different combinations, and you just have to race the racetrack sometimes. And so we're just fortunate to be able to say we got a car and we're going to go racing and we're going to try it our way.
So now, Dave, what drivers were inspirational to you back when you started out?
Drivers I kind of looked up to. I'm kind of the old school guys, like the Mongoose. I was a big Mongoose guy. That Coors car was awesome. Dom Perdome, of course, in Top Fuel stuff as he got older. Probably in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, I was kind of like a Bruce Larson. He was a big guy that I looked up to. Funny car guys, pretty much. I followed the funny car, circuit forever because it's kind of where the Top Fuel stuff. I'm kind of like you. It doesn't really interest me. I'm the funny car guy. I think even the fuel guy and the funny car guy's name, maybe Ron Capps. He seems to be kind of down to earth. He'll talk to you. He'll chat with you. He'll come to the end of the deal and talk with you a bunch. And I think I'd be a fan if I had to call myself a fan of Ron Capps. That's who it'd be. Yeah.
So, Dave, what was it like to get behind the wheel for the first time of a nitro car?
Well, I got interviewed for Speed Channel, and the girl asked me the same thing, and I had made 5 runs in a top fuel car. I went a 490, a 505, a 5 flat, and some 5.0s, and I kind of equated it to being like Evel Knievel and jumping the Grand Canyon. You really had to pump yourself up and get yourself up for it because it accelerated so hard and so fast that you're traveling 300 or 400 feet, and it just seems like you're there, man, instantaneously, and it pins you in the seat, and it does not let you go until you step off the gas. And I think that's the big thing is that the acceleration, in the car, you don't hear the sound, you don't hear all the noise that everybody's hearing because you are traveling so fast that you're in front of the noise, and then the noise catches up to you. And as you let off of it, the acceleration and the noise comes to you, and then it's like tunnel vision. You see that, and it goes, zzz, and then it comes back. And then I think the excitement, a lot of people could drive them top fuel cars, but the excitement for me was hitting the finish line, shutting the car off, stepping off the gas, getting the parachutes out, getting it slowed down, and making sure you made the turn off. That was where all the excitement was. The actual driving down the track happens so fast, and you're so in tune with the cars that you don't really have time to enjoy it or see it or feel it, I guess. But the shut-off area is kind of where I kind of enjoy it because it really has your attention. If you're an adrenaline junkie, then that's probably what's going to be the excitement for you. And I had one time crashed at the end of Milan, Michigan. I was up in Milan, and I crashed a top fuel car off for Bob Leverage. I don't know if you heard of them, Leverage Top Fuel. I was driving their car, and parachutes didn't come out, and I ran off the end of the track 260 mile an hour. And, man, it was a big ball of dirt and dust, and it was right at dusk, and I remember gun strapping out of the car, getting out, and looking at the car, and all the body panels had come off, and it broke the front end of the car. And I was like, what just happened? Because I remember at one point letting go of the steering wheel and grabbing the brake handle with 2 hands and trying to pump that thing to stop it. And it wasn't going to stop. And so the last second, I kind of just put my hands back in and ducked, and poof. And of course, I was getting out of the car and looking at the car and was embarrassed more than anything, but this guy from the EMS was like telling me to breathe and wanted to give me CPR and give me oxygen. I said, man, just, let me catch my breath, let me see what's going on here. And of course, lo and behold, I had just qualified on that run for these people who had never qualified at an IHRA Top Fuel race. And they came down there and they thought we won the Super Bowl, man. They thought we just won the world championship because they were so happy. They didn't even really care about the car being crashed. It was like as long as I was okay, they said, we'll fix the car. And it ended up being just a lever bracket deal, and the sleeve was broken, and it was pulling the sleeve instead of the cable. But it wasn't really nobody's fault, just a bad part. And so they fixed the car, and we went back again and qualified at the next race. But that's where all the excitement for me was slowing down and shutting off. And the them cars, sometimes they're banging and popping down there, and you still want to run. Just because you're shutting them off, it takes a long time for them to run out of fuel, and so it's pretty hairy down there sometimes. But,
so now, how did you come up with the name Nitro Clown?
As my daughter, I think we were trying to figure out that everybody had a kind of a little deal, whether it's the mongoose or the snake or a little something catchy, and my daughter Gabby, I think she was the one that came up with it. She said, "Well, what about a nitro clown?" And I was like, "Man, it just rang, in my ears." And I thought, well, I Google searched it right away, and there was some nitro circus, there was some nitro something. Man, there was no nitro clown. And I said, "That's us, man. We're going to be the nitro clown." And I always kind of considered myself a class clown, or just kind of one of them town clowns, just everything's funny, and so it kind of stuck, and lo and behold, we've just had it, and it sticks. So people seem to like it. They either like it or they hate it. I'll be honest with you. Some people have a fear of clowns. They don't like them. They're evil looking. They're sick looking. They're weird looking.
Yeah.
But then we get people that come up and they got tattoos of clowns and shit on their body, and they're like showing us and like, yeah, nitro clown. It's got kind of a ring to it. So I think that's who we are. That's what we're going to be, and that's kind of what we're going to take off and go see what happens with the nitro clown. So
yeah, that's another good thing about nostalgia. They got all the cars with like names you could pick, not like Top Fuel where they all got like just sponsors names.
Yep.
Not like the old days when they had Snake and Mongoose and all them.
Yep. It's people want to relate to it. They either want to hate it or they want to love it. And like I say, that's what the sport's about. And people sitting in the stands that want to dream and they want to think and they want to be like what we're doing. And it gives them a little bit of a break from their life, their work and their problems and shit. They go out to the racetrack and they go, yeah, I want to be like that nitro clown dude. And they want to cheer for us. They want to make us. They want to be part of our team. They want us to win. And so that's kind of what, like I said, we're trying to get back to them roots where it's family. It's friendly. It's family oriented, and you can afford to do it and enjoy yourself. It's like going on a little camping trip for 2 days. You're going out to the racetrack. You're gonna eat hamburgers and hot dogs and camp out and tell stories at night and that's part of the fun of it.
Now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on, Dave?
I got this little deal over here in Springfield, Missouri. It's called Ozarks, Ozark Raceway. It's nestled in some woods. It's in the backwoods of this little area outside of Springfield, and the track is killer. The people are killer. It's the fans. I mean, they come out in droves. It's packed. That track, and I think I like Denton, Texas. Denton, Texas is another one. It's a hotbed. There's something going on there every weekend, and the people come out and they enjoy it. I mean, it's got a real good following. The owners are good people. They take big interest in the not only the bathrooms are clean, but there's places to eat. They got the track is killer. They care about your safety. It's total package. Total package. They treat you like Schumacher Racing when you roll in there. They make sure you're parked right, and you have all the things you need. And so yeah, them two racetracks I think are my two favorites.
So now you ready for some fun questions?
Sure.
So with either the car, the fuel altered or the funny car, who are your greatest competitors?
Say that again.
With either one of your two cars, who have been your greatest competitors?
I'd say the funny car stuff it's serious, man. Them guys, like I said, you have to travel. So far, last year at Funny Car Chaos, you got guys coming from Washington. The guy that won it, I think his name was Mark Sanders. He came all the way from Washington, upstate Washington, to win that deal. So it's serious business. It ain't all fun and games between the racers. A lot of the guys are open. You can go next door and talk and chit-chat. And some of them don't want that. Some of them, they'll wait till Sunday when we're going home to talk to you. But I get along with all the guys. Like I said, in general, everybody's friends. We all help each other out. Somebody always needs something, so you help out where you can. A lot of times we'll have events before the race. We'll have a little meet and greet at the bars and stuff, and everybody gets together and has a few brews and bullshits and lies about how fast their cars are going to be. So there's no real animosity between any of them. It's all everybody just wanting to have a good time, and so when I'm up there, I'll be honest with you, I really don't see a competitor in the other lane. I see my car going straight down through there and me getting the parachutes out. Whatever happens on the scoreboard, it's going to happen. And so that's kind of like way down the list as far as what I want to achieve. I want my car to look good, to be fast, and to haul ass. And if it does that, I'm a winner,
Yeah.
If by the chance we get a win light, okay, we move on, we shake hands, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of luck involved. These high caliber cars, a lot of stupid stuff happens. Sometimes the chutes fall out in them. After the burnout, it don't really matter how fast the other guy's car is. You just take it for what it is, and you move on. And you win some, you lose some, and some guys win a lot. Some guys don't win any. But like I said, I'm just happy to be out there and be in the pits and have my car in stands. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, now my wife's going to ask you a couple questions now.
Okay.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, I'm a pizza Italian guy. I love Italian food, man.
So you're Italian.
I'd eat Italian every day of the week if my wife let me. But then I'd probably weigh 500 pounds.
But are you Italian?
No, I'm not. I'm Spanish. My ancestry's from Spain. I'm fifth generation Spaniard. My mom has a little bit of Indian in her, and
I like Spain.
So yeah.
I like Spain.
Yeah, I hope to go there someday. I've got a lot of my name actually Gallegos comes from the south of Spain, and it was Gallo is the correct translation, and they added the Gallegos when the first generation came over to the United States. So I'd really like to go see all that.
You know the history behind Gallegos, right?
Well, from what I've been told, it's chicken rooster is the translation of it, and we had something to do with a lot of chicken farming.
I mean, there's a lot more history to it, but you gotta look into it, research it.
Research it. Absolutely.
What's your favorite beverage?
My favorite beverage, I'm a big iced tea guy.
Same here. I love iced tea. What's your favorite?
Drink a lot of iced tea. About every meal, I'm drinking iced tea.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Man, I'm a big Star Wars guy. I've seen every Star Wars movie probably 100 times, and it still doesn't get old to me.
What about the new Star Wars
tonight if you want?
What about the new Star Wars that just came out with Disney?
It's not like the older stuff, but it's still interesting, and I still watch, and they still kind of got a little tail to it as far as you tying in the old with the new. So I'm curious to see, and mostly the new graphics and the new technology that they have to make stuff, the way it is. That's probably the interest.
Okay,
the storyline is amazing to me. The guy's a genius. George Lucas was a genius, modern day genius.
So here's my take on the new, from the old to the new. So the old Star Wars is boring. The new Star Wars is more fun.
Yeah, I'm more of an older guy. I like the characters. I like the kind of cheesiness of it, the fantasy part of it, and just the characters. The characters are awesome. They're real heroes, real villains. Real distinctive, I guess.
Well, we don't have much time left. Is there any website that you have that you want to tell people where to find your race schedule at?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to Nitro Clown Motorsports on Facebook, and then you can Google me on, there's some stuff that Chris has. I think it's on Gallegos Motorsports is the older stuff that you can kind of get up to date with what was going on in the past and stuff. We really don't, Facebook stuff, my daughter keeps track of, so that's probably the main thing where you could follow us. Nitro Clown Motorsports on Facebook, and then there's some links to Snapchat and stuff like that on there.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, Dave.
All right, appreciate it. See you at the races.
We will, soon.
All right.
Bye.